But before I get started, I was just curious. Actually, can everyone stand up? I know, it's one of those. Stay standing if you have heard of GOA. Stay standing if you have considered taking a GOA course at one time or another. Stay standing if you have taken a GOA course or are taking one this year. All right. So, my goal today is simply to educate you on what GOA is so that you can consider if it's a good option for you next year. As I said, I'm the Student Experience Coordinator. You can contact me on Twitter or at this email if you have any questions and follow-up, but really Mr. Hubick will be your point of contact going forward. But first, I actually want to start with a video. So this video, let's see if I can get my mouse. Hold on a sec. There we go. So this is a video, it's kind of just a little preview, 3 minutes, about what GOA is. We had a videographer visit one of our schools. So Gilman is a member school of GOA. Another member school of GOA is University Prep out in Seattle, which is where our headquarters are. And so we sent a videographer to that school to talk to the students there about what their experience is. So these are UPrep students talking about GOA. Oh, this is terrible news. Let's try this again. All right. Oh, no. All right, we're going to try one more time. Technical difficulties, this is awful. But the good news is we actually have 4 real live students from Gilman who will be talking to us about their experience in GOA classes. So if this doesn't load, that's okay. You can find it on the website if you're interested in hearing a little bit more about that, but we'll just have to pivot. All right. They say really great things, though. So the first question is, what is GOA? GOA, being a member school at GOA means that Gilman is a part of GOA and GOA is a part of Gilman. GOA is a consortium of over 70 schools around the world whose mission is to reimagine teaching and learning for students to empower them in a globally networked society. We offer courses at these, we offer 40 courses in addition to the ones that you can take at Gilman that are designed to appeal to your interests. They're primarily passion-driven and designed to offer you opportunities to connect with people you might otherwise not connect with on any single school campus. We're located around the world, so these are where our member schools currently are. We are a consortium, which means that being a consortium means the strength of our program comes from the schools that make up GOA. So by creating a network of global independent schools, we're able to really leverage the expertise of our faculty and students to offer some really amazing and unique courses. We would truly not be anything if it weren't for the amazing teachers that we have, just like the ones you interact with at Gilman every day. In fact, it's those teachers like Mr. Miles and Mr. Spragans who are here somewhere, who are teachers actually for GOA. They teach GOA courses. And it's teachers like these who allow us to offer unique course lists to high school students in the network. No single school could multiply their course offerings by 40, but being a network really allows us to do that and offer a broad array of courses appealing to a broad array of student interests. So I can't list all of the courses here because you wouldn't be able to read them, but just some examples of courses we offer. Medical problem solving. This course uses the same problem-based learning methods as medical schools. So students learn to research and diagnose medical issues based on cases. They're presented with a medical case and they work through this method to diagnose diagnose and use their knowledge and research about that. For advocacy, the advocacy class, design a campaign for change around social justice issues that you care about. Every spring, GOA has the Catalyst Conference, which is actually a virtual conference, a 3-day virtual conference, where students present their projects using whatever knowledge they gained in their course, whether that be applied philosophy, medical problem solving, gender studies, entrepreneurship. They take those classes and think about how to apply that to a change in their community and propose that change and share it on a global stage in May. Another example of a course where you really get to practice being what it would be like to be a professional blank is filmmaking. You can be a professional photographer. From day one, students start by making films about things they care about. They join a broader filmmaking community and connect with students around the globe, and they get feedback on their projects throughout the semester. Ultimately, actually, this year's group, part of the curriculum was to submit them to film festivals globally, so we're still waiting to hear back on some of those. You know this guy? So, modern learning. What elements of school have changed? What elements of school have stayed the same? All of our teachers come from schools just like Gilman and participate in more than 70 hours of training before they even set foot in their digital virtual classroom. So both online and in person, our teachers training basically consists of an online component followed up by our teachers like Mr. Miles, Mr. Spraggins, join us in Seattle, a little island off of Seattle each summer, and they work with us for a week on designing their course. They work with their instructional coach on helping make their vision for the course become something really engaging for students. By taking a course that exposes you to new topics and people, we also are in this position to go beyond that, to really allow GOA courses to build and develop modern learning skills for students, skills that they might not have the regular opportunity to practice in an on-campus class, skills that you will use in college and the workforce beyond. So interactive new ways. In a GOA course, you can use technology to make connections. It's important to know that we cover 14 time zones. So when you sign in for your GOA class, it's not like you sign in and there are all the other 15 students who are taking it and everyone's on one big video conference call, because we're all over the world. So students are waking up, some are going to bed, some are at sports practice, some are in school. It's impossible to have a completely synchronous experience. So students will primarily communicate via email, Slack, it's a messaging service we use, video conferencing in small groups with their teacher or small groups of other students. Students can learn on their own time. So because we don't have a set time, you can figure out when to do your GOA work. Courses are paced, so you can't just say, I'll do GOA Sunday night, I have a lot of extra time then and I'll only do GOA on Sunday nights. You do log in very regularly, and it does take an amount of time. It's like a real Gilman course. It takes time. However, you can choose, how to be flexible about that. Finally, you connect globally. So all of our courses are small. There are no more than 20 in any single course. I think the average this year is around 14 or 15. And we bring together teachers and students from member schools. You'll meet new people. You'll hear a little bit about some of those relationships from Gilman students in a few minutes, but you'll meet new people that you might otherwise not. So, how does a GOA class work? Our students report that they spend on average 5 to 7 hours a week. That is the average. Some students spend more, some students spend less, and that they're logging in 5 to 7. Actually, this stat's a little bit wrong. They're logging in more frequently than this. 68% of our students log in daily or more. So this is a highly interactive, engaging experience that you will be a part of if you go forward. The last thing to think about is a lot of times people think about online classes and they think, oh, like MOOCs, and they think things where you can be completely, that's massive open online course, where you can be completely anonymous, where nobody knows who you are, no one knows what your schedule's like, no one knows anything about you. That's not the case in our classes. You're known by your teacher, you're known by other students in the class, and Mr. Hubick, who is the campus site director, who gets weekly reports on your grades, how often you're logging in, what assignments are missing, so that he can follow up with you if needed, if you need that extra support. So, should I take a GOA course? I'm going to kind of breeze through these questions because we've got some great panelists here who are going to tell us a little bit more about their experience. But before you enroll, it may sound really great, but you really should ask yourself these 6 questions. How busy are you? If you are incredibly busy, it's worth thinking long and hard about if you have room in your schedule to make this course work. Again, remember, could you take another Gilman course on top of this? That's a good assessment. If you don't feel ready that you couldn't do that, that might be a good indication that you're not quite ready with your schedule to take another one online. Are you excited to meet new people? Again, we're not like most online courses, so being aware of that and being excited about interacting and learning from new people should be high on your list. How organized are you? You don't need to look like that top screen. I'm pretty sure no one looks like that top image. But if you look like that bottom image, it's a good indicator that, maybe this is going to be a hard thing for you. There's a lot of responsibility, accountability, management of your time and tasks. You are really the owner of your learning, so this is a big one. How tech tough are you? GOA does not expect any student to come in with, being a tech whiz or having all of the technology skills, to be the best at technology. We don't really care about technology. We really care about ideas, and because we're in an online school, the way we communicate those ideas is through technology. That said, you have to have a certain level of comfort problem solving when you do run into tech issues, right? Do you Google a question when something's not working? Do you reach out to classmates or your teacher? How do you problem solve? That relates to this self-advocacy piece. How good of a self-advocate are you? In a regular classroom, you might be able to sort of wait for a teacher to realize that you're struggling based on some of the behaviors your teacher can see, right? Maybe you're not so transparent about how much work you did last night and you're in the back of the room, kind of. Those things don't happen online. So you really have to advocate for yourself if you're falling behind, if you don't understand something. So that's important. And finally, how active of a learner are you? Unlike many other online courses, you will be responsible for curating and creating content to help you and your classmates learn. So just like those examples I was giving before, this is not the kind of course, teachers are not sort of looking at students as receptacles for their knowledge. Students are actively creating content for their course. They're going out, having their sort of personal field trips, coming back in, sharing that experience with their course, and going forward. So that's what I have. If you are interested, I know registration is coming up soon, so if you're interested in talking a little bit more about if this is a good option for you, you can just talk to Mr. Hubick, or any of these students who can join me on stage. Some of the GOA students at Gilman, I think we have 3 or 4. I'm gonna give this video one more try. All right, I won't. So, what I want to do is, how long is this? 10 minutes? Okay, perfect. So, what I'd like to do is, I have a few questions I'm going to ask these guys, but if you have questions for me or for any of these students, just think about them. I'm going to open it up in just a moment, but maybe we could start like we did this morning, introducing yourself, what grade you are in, and what GOA courses you are taking or have taken.
So I'm Gustav Gomer. I'm a senior. In junior year, I took Water and Global Context and Bioethics.
Grant Emery, I'm a junior, and I just took microeconomics.
Ben Levinson, I'm a junior, and in 10th grade I took gender studies.
Sawyer Lynch, I'm a senior. First semester this year I took Introduction to Investment Banking, and second semester Entrepreneurship in a Global Context.
Thank you. So maybe you could help us paint the picture of what an online experience is like by sharing a favorite assignment from your class, from one of your classes, and describing that a little bit.
Okay, I'll go first. So my favorite assignment was probably the midterm project, where I had to write a valuation for Twitter. So I was researching everything from debt to equity ratios to looking at their upper management, which is a mess, by the way. So I highly recommend not investing in Twitter.
Our midterm was an evaluation of masculinity, and we watched Moonlight and Wedding Crashers and compared the masculinity exhibited in both movies. And then I had a Skype call with 2 classmates, one from California and one from South Africa, to discuss what we thought of the movies.
So just to clarify what the midterm is, since it's only a semester-long class, at the end of the first quarter, or like what we call the first quarter, you have a midterm, and then you have a final at the end of the semester. So I also really liked my midterm project, which is we had to go pick a business in our community and talk about its place in its market and the market structure. So I actually got the opportunity to go visit Under Armour and Under Armour's Lighthouse, which is their development center for new ideas, which was a really cool experience, and I learned a lot about Under Armour there.
So in my water and global context class, I was able to go out to a water treatment center near my house in Crofton. And it was a great experience. I was able to see how water filtration works on a basic level. So.
Great. So one of the things we talk about is obviously you're practicing tons of new skills here in Gilman classes. What about skills in GOA classes? Thinking, were there any skills you had the opportunity to practice, develop, that felt different to you than other experiences you've had learning?
So I'd say the biggest skill is time management. You're able to understand how to work with the schedules of people all across the globe. I had classmates in Jakarta, I had classmates in California, I had classmates in England, and synchronizing kind of schedules and being able to work with people on PowerPoints and video presentations is extremely difficult unless you have a really good schedule and able to stick to a timeline.
I'd add to that and say that time management is one thing. Time management across 14 time zones is a totally different thing. And so learning to do that and learning to utilize the technology that already exists for making that easier was interesting.
Yeah, I'd say that there's definitely a learning curve to the online platform. What I like to tell is that, so you get the invite to begin and set up your GOA profile in like mid-August. And so I set it up on time, and I was really looking forward to the start of my microeconomics class. And, we're like 2 weeks into the school year, and I get an email, and it says, like, hey, Grant, we're like 4 days into a 5-day orientation, and you haven't even shown up in the classroom yet. And that was kind of hit me that, like, I didn't really have the organization done yet. And it also leads to some unorthodox due dates. Like, I mean, I was having to turn in stuff by, like, 11 a.m. on a Sunday, so, like, the procrastination's kind of thrown off.
Yeah, keeping to a schedule is really important. So for my first semester class, everything, the entire week's work was due Friday night at 12 o'clock. So I can't start doing that work Friday at 6 and expect to finish that. So I have to complete it incrementally throughout the week.
Were there any experiences that you had in your classes that wouldn't have been possible in an online, in an on-campus classroom? Were there any experiences that you're like, wow, this is very unique to the fact that this class is made up of people around the globe?
I think just the interactions, like, for example, my teacher lived in Beijing while teaching my class. I had students in my class from India and around the globe. So a lot of the class, like you mentioned, is built around discussion. So just learning about other people and their daily life and kind of talking about like the class that we're all learning, but in different parts of the world and how that's different there.
The global aspect had an interesting effect on gender studies specifically, I think, because of the different ways gender is thought about in different parts of the world. And so that in particular was experiencing that class on a global level was a really cool way to take that class, because I could hear about my South Africans' experience of gender equity versus my Japanese classmates' experience of gender. So that was really interesting.
I would say that our final project for my water and global context class, I was able to walk around Gilman and just record just like ways where water goes into irrigation systems. And so that seems kind of like boring, but I thought it was just kind of fun. And it was a lot better film than what I made sophomore year for an English class. That was pretty funny. We did a horrible Shakespeare play. So.
Yeah, so my class this semester, Entrepreneurship and Global Context, my teacher lives in Singapore. And to hear the perspective of entrepreneurship in a completely different part of the world was really interesting.
This will be my last question.
you need to be organized. You can't just like expect to do this and not do any work, and then the teacher gets on you. You'll get kicked out of the class if you don't do the work. So you need to be willing to participate and do everything.
Make sure you're really interested. That's the great thing about GOA classes, is that they're very like specific, passion-driven classes that you wouldn't necessarily be able to take at Gilman. But that being said, if you take it, you should make sure that it's something that you really are interested about. And if you are interested in it, then the work won't be hard. But
Yeah, kind of like what Ben said. Like, I mean, you see they have classes like medical problem solving. It's the courses look a lot like something you'd see in college. So it's a really great way to like explore classes that you're not going to see in the regular curriculum here, and maybe get a better feel for what you want to do moving forward.
I would also say that junior year counts as your 6th class, and senior year counts as either your 5th or 6th class. So junior year, if you want to have extra kind of period to just work on GOA work and maybe do some other homework, that also extremely helps you, especially in that rigorous junior year schedule. So, but again, it comes down to time management if you're able to really take the advantages of this class.
Are there any questions from students or faculty about GOA for the students or myself? In the back.
Yeah, in terms of like applying to college, everyone always tells you to take like the most rigorous courses. So like, are colleges aware of GOA classes and how they work? How they understand taking GOA classes from like a regular class?
That's a great question. So really quickly, GOA courses are given credit by Gilman. So on your transcript, if you take neuropsychology or gender studies or entrepreneurship, it will say that on your transcript there'll be a little dash that says GOA, so that the college knows, oh, this was a different kind of experience. Colleges are aware of GOA. The Dean of Admission at Stanford is on our board, and has written an article actually on our website that we share that sort of talks about saying, after a certain number of really rigorous courses and APs, I think he says, after 5 or 6 APs, colleges get that you are a really strong student and you are up for the rigor of college. What a GOA course gives you the opportunity to do is to really demonstrate a narrative of your interests, right? Because there's so many different courses that you can really start to pick up and sort of tell that story in that way. Does that answer your question?
Let me just also add to that, the GOA courses are also certified by the NCAA. So if you have aspirations of playing Division I or college athletics, there are certain courses that the NCAA approves, and these are all approved by the NCAA. So if that's something that interests you, it's not going to hurt that NCAA eligibility. Okay. If you have a question about GOA, you can see me. It's primarily directed towards 11th and 12th graders. As Gus said, for the 11th graders, it would count as a 6th course. For the 12th graders, it could be your 5th course. The only stipulation to that is that you must take an English course here at one of the tri-schools, so that you can't use GOA as your English course, but you certainly can double up on English courses and take the GOA English course as well. If you're interested, I know juniors and especially rising seniors are getting moving with their schedule. See me. The juniors are going through a scheduling kind of seminar, workshop. That's something that you want to bring up as you get into that room. Okay? Thanks. Let's give
This could be happening every assembly, just so we can try and get this seating right. I don't know what's going on today, but it's a big list. Pay attention. See me instead of going to lunch. Diaz, Lang, Jimmy Swindell, Layton, Morton, Harrington, DJ Langston, Wyatt Naylor, Nelson, Donovan, Schloter, Klassen, Benjamin Webb, O'Neill, Brummett, Mendez, Trendler, Wiggin, Kavanaugh, Williamson, Rosado. All those see me down here.
Yeah, remember we have dress down tomorrow for the great work on the sewing drive. If you want to bring that stuff down next week, we're actually going to go down and give it to those families and those kids. Please let me know. But again, really good work. Sal.
oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
It's really great. Not